We have all heard of Broadway, that magical place in New York City where the stage shines with story, song, and dance. But how did that street become what it is today? Where did it come from? And how has it impacted the bustling world around it? We will talk about that and more in this video on Broadway. It may seem like Broadway has been around forever, but it had to get its start somewhere. Defining the beginning is a bit more difficult than you'd think. New York's first large theater opened in 1750. The Theater of Nassau was opened in Manhattan and held around 280 people. From that point on, theaters rose and fell and rose again between wars, the Great Depression, cultural movements, and general population. A musical is a live performance that consists of acts, scenes, musical numbers, and an intermission. The musical is performed live with the band in the pit, a lowered area in front of the stage. The pit carries the sound upward and out without being seen by the audience. The singers and performers are on stage. They use microphones either attached to their costumes or faces/heads. This allows them to move freely, be discreet, and heard well. The performers consist of cast and ensemble. The cast typically have speaking roles and are assigned a character. The ensemble are typically backup singers and dancers and act as extras. The ensemble adds depth and realism to the musical, making them a key part of production. There are also crew members. The crew is responsible for everything behind the scenes, including set design, costume, makeup, sound, lights, directors, props, etc. They keep everything moving and safe so the audience gets a flawless experience. There have been thousands of Broadway shows since its beginning. At any given time, there can be several dozen shows running. There are currently 41 shows running, each theater doing a different production. A show's run is how long it's being performed for or how many shows it will put on. The longest running show is Phantom of the Opera. The show has been on since January 26, 1988. Shows typically run on a schedule of evening shows Tuesdays through Saturdays, afternoon matinees on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Sunday nights and Mondays don't have shows. The theaters are said to go dark, and the actors and crew have this time to rest. Now, here are some miscellaneous facts to help you get a better idea of Broadway. Have you ever heard of Off-Broadway? These are shows that have started in smaller theaters, lack proper funding, and/or are experimental in some way. These shows start in smaller theaters till they can gain traction and interest from investors to put it on the big stage. Some shows that started off-Broadway include Rent, In the Heights, Dear Evan Hansen, and even Hamilton. These are some of the biggest Broadway shows performed today and had small and humble beginnings. Did you know that the Broadway shows actually toured the country and even the world? These touring productions are often shows that have huge popularity. The actors, crew, band, sets, costumes, props, and equipment are all loaded into semi-trailers and buses and taken from city to city. They set up, perform 1 to 8 shows, pack up, and go to the next city. These touring shows often have separate cast and crew from the one that stays in New York. Lastly, did you know that Broadway has its own award show? Have you heard of the Antoinette Perry Awards? Probably not. This often goes by the common nickname, the Tony Awards. The Tonys began in 1947 and honor cast, crew, directors, writers, and producers in several categories. The show to win the most Tony Awards is surprisingly the 2001 musical, The Producers, winning in 12 categories. Trying to fit the history of Broadway in one video would either lead to a 10-hour documentary or a disappointingly short video with a handful of fun facts. This has been the latter. I hope you found something that you didn't know before and might even consider seeing a show for yourself. Thank you for watching.